Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly fascinating ideological overlap. It is not every day that the frameworks of a secular Silicon Valley critic perfectly align with the moral teachings of the Vatican, right? But today, we're going to examine how Gerd Leonhard, a prominent secular futurist, and Pope Leo XIV, in his groundbreaking 2026 encyclical, have essentially diagnosed the exact same crisis regarding artificial intelligence. To really anchor our analysis, listen to this profound statement from Pope Leo XIV's 2026 encyclical, Magnifica Humanitas. He writes, "We are a desire, not an algorithm." It's an incredibly powerful distinction. It reminds us that at the absolute core of the human experience is something unquantifiable. And honestly, this single sentence sets the perfect stage for a massive conversation about how we maintain our humanity in an increasingly automated world.
So how exactly do these two thinkers line up? We're going to trace their parallel synthesis through 6 key areas: a striking AI synchronicity, the fork in the road, the need to embrace but not become technology, disarming the silicon monopolies, human work and hidden slavery, and finally, the ultimate choice before us.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, a striking AI synchronicity.
Now, back in 2016, futurist Gerd Leonhard laid out a really comprehensive digital ethics framework. He was essentially sounding the alarm about the collision of technology and humanity. Fast forward 10 years to 2026, and Pope Leo XIV releases Magnifica Humanitas, addressing the exact same themes. What this shows us is that analyzing the trajectory of AI isn't just a technical exercise for software developers anymore, it's a fundamental question of human philosophy.
Both of these sources are broadcasting the exact same warning to us. We absolutely must prioritize human essence over algorithmic efficiency. They argue that keeping humans at the center isn't just some nice ethical bonus feature that we can tack on to AI development as an afterthought. It's a survival imperative. Because if we don't actively center human dignity, we risk creating systems that optimize for clicks, profit, and metrics while entirely discarding what makes our human lives actually meaningful. Moving on to Section 2. The fork in the road.
Gerd Leonhard actually coined a brilliant concept for this called Helven. It describes how technology is this incredibly powerful, yet ultimately neutral tool that can swing our future in 2 extreme directions. Technology could lead us to heaven, helping us solve grand global challenges like climate change or curing diseases, but if it's left to unchecked monopolies focused solely on efficiency and profit, well, it could just as easily lead us to hell. It's a very stark fork in the road.
And the Pope mirrors this exact fork in the road, but he uses biblical imagery. He contrasts the proud, isolated Tower of Babel with the collaborative, community-driven rebuilding of Jerusalem. He describes Babel as this grandiose, technocratic project, a pursuit of ultimate power that sacrifices human dignity for hyper-efficiency. Conversely, Jerusalem represents shared responsibility, where technology is used to rebuild society brick by brick, with everyone participating. When you look closely, it's the exact same binary that Gerd Leonhard describes: a future where tech dominates us versus a future where tech serves us.
This brings us to Section 3, embrace, don't become technology.
Think about it. An algorithm doesn't have a physical body. It doesn't feel joy, it doesn't feel pain, and it certainly has no moral conscience. The Pope outlines that AI can simulate empathy, sure, but it can never truly understand love or bear real responsibility because it lacks a soul and lived experience. It learns through statistical adaptation, not through the messy human experience of making mistakes, seeking forgiveness, and growing in wisdom. Gerd echoes this entirely, pointing out that while technology is a magnificent tool, it completely lacks human agency.
So, naturally, both thinkers see a massive danger in our over-reliance on these systems. Gerd calls this cognitive outsourcing, which is the very real risk of our own critical thinking atrophying simply because a machine gives us instant, frictionless answers. The Pope makes a surprisingly similar point, warning that this frictionless interaction weakens our inner freedom. It creates the illusion of a relationship, essentially tricking us into abandoning the difficult, messy, but absolutely necessary work of genuine human connection.
Which leads us into Section 4, disarming the silicon monopolies.
All of this forces us to ask a critical question, one raised by both the encyclical and tech journalists alike. We are currently living in a time where transnational private companies have resources and data-gathering capabilities that far surpass the regulatory reach of traditional nation-states. So we have to ask, who is actually steering the ship right now? The Pope boldly argues that AI must be disarmed. Now, he doesn't mean destroying the technology entirely. He means breaking the relentless commercial arms race for dominance that constantly prioritizes speed and profit over safety and human dignity. It means stripping away the monopolistic secrecy and opening AI up to true democratic debate.
And right here we see a striking parallel demand. Both Gerd and the Pope are insisting that control over our digital infrastructure must be pulled away from a few opaque corporations and opened up to public oversight. They highlight that when just a handful of companies hold the keys to humanity's digital nervous system, they possess a wildly unbalanced level of influence over our economies, our information, and our democracies. They both argue that AI needs robust, distributed governance, global red lines, as Gerd puts it, to ensure it serves the common good, not just the balance sheets of a select few.
Let's move to Section 5, Human Work and Hidden Slavery.
Fundamentally, an economy must serve human dignity. It shouldn't force workers to adapt to the speed of machines or de-skill them through automated surveillance. The Pope is incredibly clear here that human value cannot simply be reduced to a productivity metric. And as AI takes over more routine tasks, both of our sources agree that we can't just throw our hands up and accept mass exclusion or unemployment. We have to actively design economic systems that prioritize human participation and fundamentally redefine what dignified, human-only work looks like in an automated age.
But it gets darker, because both thinkers pull back the curtain on the tech industry to reveal a very uncomfortable truth. AI is not magical, and it's certainly not immaterial. It is heavily reliant on an invisible underclass of exploited human labor. Behind the clean, frictionless interfaces of chatbots are thousands of low-wage workers in the global south labeling data and moderating highly traumatic content. There are physical minds extracting rare earth elements using child labor just to build the server farms. The Pope actually describes this as a new form of modern slavery, which completely undercuts that shiny utopian narrative we're so often sold by the tech industry.
Finally, we arrive at Section 6, the final choice.
When you synthesize all of this, Gerd's concept of the good future and the Pope's civilization of love are essentially delivering the exact same message. Whether you approach it from a secular, futurist perspective analyzing global digital ethics, or from a deeply theological perspective guarding the human soul, the conclusions overlap perfectly. We are facing a core crisis of direction. We absolutely must protect our human uniqueness. We must democratize technological power, and we must reject the reduction of human beings to mere data points.
As we wrap up this explainer, we want to leave you with the ultimate choice. The technology is already here, and it's only going to become more powerful. But how we integrate it into our lives, whether we let it dictate our value or force it to serve our shared humanity, is entirely up to us. So, will we prioritize the efficiency of the machine or protect the desire of the human soul? Will we build Babel or rebuild Jerusalem? Keep learning, keep questioning, and thank you so much for joining us for this explainer.